Welcome to the ConfigureITDone Podcast. The ConfigureITDone Podcast is a place where successful thought leaders in the SAP space come to share their leadership styles, their tips, and their unique stories on how to run successful large-scale SAP programs. Listen to the podcast to learn from their successes, their failures, their career stories, and their inspirations.
This podcast is in partnership with the Black Dog Institute, who aim to create a mentally healthier world for everyone. If you wish to support the cause, please donate via the link below.
Welcome, Season 3, Episode 3 of the ConfigureITDone Podcast. We've got a fantastic guest today that my colleague Sara is invited along. DJ, nice to put a face to a name.
Likewise.
Before we start, the name DJ.
Yeah.
Are you actually a DJ or no?
Is this
Yes.
true? Because I didn't believe Jay when he told me.
I've heard this before.
Yes, I do DJ. I'm not a professional one, but I have played out to a crowd of about 100.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, tops.
Bad.
Yeah, it's good. I absolutely love it. The last I played out was about 2 years back, just before COVID.
Yeah.
And I like mixing Western with Bollywood.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that's my speciality, if you will.
I mean,
I
as
love
SAP hobby goes, that's a pretty cool SAP hobby, isn't it?
It is.
Service delivery manager by day, DJ by night.
Yes. And I really enjoyed that hobby for a while. It took me some time to really develop it, and the confidence to actually play out, because DJing in your bedroom is a different thing. But just playing out to an audience, you have to set up the speakers, the acoustics, the light effects, the selection of the song based on the audience, and the worst part is as you go towards the end of the gig, and when those slightly inebriated people approach you with a song request, and if you don't have that,
is that you, Sara?
No, it's not me, but I'm the one that my friends are like, just go ask for me. I don't want to do it. I'm like, oh. Then I trudge up and I'm like, my friend would please to hear Love on Top by Beyonce. And you're just like, oh, I don't have it. And you're like, I'm fine. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Just ignore us.
Yeah, so those are interesting. So,
excellent.
There you go.
All right, well, good stuff. Well, DJ, we'd love to get to know you a bit more. So I'm going to hand you over to Sara to do the quick fire question round.
Let's do it.
So yeah, I'd love to know a bit more.
I mean, we've almost already covered the first and second question. So what's your full name, and then what's your nickname?
Yeah, my full name is Devjyoti Bhattacharya.
Yep.
DJ is just the short form of my first name. So it's been since my year 11.
Year 11. So lifetime.
It's a very long time.
Lifetimes.
And hobby as well.
Yeah.
Hobby. I picked it up after I came to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So,
any correlation between getting the nickname and then deciding, you know what?
No, it was just an accident, and then choosing my name, one of my friends suggested, you should call yourself Double DJ, something like that. So, there's no correlation, but it gets interesting.
Oh, for sure.
Just because of the name and the hobby that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where are you from?
I'm from India.
Very nice.
Yes.
And how long have you been in Australia?
9 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it'd been longer.
No,
No? 9 years. Very good.
Yeah.
And currently working at?
I'm currently working at SAP Australia.
Yeah,
As a
famously.
delivery exec.
And no pressure to SAP Australia, but best job that you've ever had.
And yeah, exactly. Look, it's I definitely mean SAP Australia, because it's not that it's my current employer. I think the flexibility to take decisions, and the support that you get from your leadership to actually go ahead and try that out. I've not had that in some of my previous employers, so I think that makes it challenging, and if you get it right, it makes it really great, right? And if you don't, it's a different story.
There's one thing I've noticed doing this podcast. Obviously, we've had Alex, Sahida, Stephen Wells, Richard Arkell on here, and they do love working for the organisation. What is it specifically, other than you mentioned about being empowered and the support from leadership? But is there any other reasons why you love that organisation?
So two things. As a person, I always look up to the leadership team, how they are, what values they carry, and how they treat people. So a lot of it depends on that. So You spoke about some of the nicest names at SAP, right? Alex and Sahida, they are great leaders, and likewise, you get to when you now then start working with the so-called engineers, you would find that SAP has one of the best talents. I mean, hands down. So it's a different high. Working with people who have actually developed that product, who know in and out of it, and then when you question, there comes a clear-cut solution. This is what you can do, and this is you cannot do, and this is you shouldn't do. Right? Sure. So I think the combination of leadership and engineering capabilities is an immaculate one at SAP.
Sure. Yeah. Excellent.
That's a good answer. And what about the worst job you've ever had?
Bro, I think I don't think there's a worse job that I've ever had. If you really stick to my profession as jobs, I've been into just 4 different job profiles so far, and I loved everything that I did. So I don't think there's a worse job.
Oh, that's pretty good. How about your favorite sport?
Favorite sport? I love playing tennis.
Nice.
So I played competition till my high school, and then there was a motorbike accident, and I had a severe injury on my right shoulder, after which I cannot really do a lot of volley and serve.
Oh, no.
So, but I still love watching tennis.
That's good. And you still ride a bike?
I do still ride a bike. Yeah. That didn't deter me. So I still have a motorbike. Yes.
Oh, how good is that? And what about your favorite beer and your favorite meal to go with it?
All right. It's got to be Indian.
Yeah, for sure.
I like lager, so Kingfisher Premium.
My dad's also a lager guy. Yes, that is true.
And to go with that, a nice, authentic biryani.
I actually just totally off topic, but I did find a local Indian restaurant to where I've just moved, which is so hard. My dad has searched for like 25 to 30
no good
years. It's
Indian
so hard,
restaurants.
right? It's so hard. And like my dad coming from Kerala, growing up in Malaysia, he's just like, I just don't even bother. But I found a good lamb biryani recently that's like 2 blocks up from my house, and I called him immediately. I was like, Dad, you need to try this. We got to come for dinner. So it's
nice.
I agree.
There's so many good restaurants in the UK.
Brick Lane and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
just that choice. Heartbreak. Favorite hobbies? I mean, we've already touched on them, but yeah.
Hobbies. I love DJing. That's definitely number one. And I love riding my motorbike. I have a Harley Davidson 1200 custom. So that has been my. If you had the question on, what was that? The reason for sanity during I would have hands down said that, because I think getting onto your motorbike and just going hitting the road, listening to some good music just brings that sanity back into your head.
That's good.
Nice. So I love that. Yeah.
Favorite music or film?
I think music would be definitely Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
Film would be definitely The Pursuit of Happiness.
Great movie,
I can't watch that more than once. I cried for too long.
Yeah. I can't wait for Will Smith's new movie to come out. With Serena Williams.
King
one.
Richard or something like that. Yeah, he's so good, isn't he? Movies like that get me.
He's a great actor. Amazing. Yeah. And in fact, my daughters, they love the movie.
Really?
Pursuit of Happiness, yeah. Especially that dialogue, right? Pretty much at the last scene when he's offered the job.
Oh.
He says, what are you going to say that if I had a man who's wearing really a dirty shirt? And he responds that he would really have a very nice pants. And that's the power of positive thinking to me.
Yeah.
And presence of mind. So that's
Have you seen the YouTube documentary, The Best Shape of My Life, with Will Smith? It's basically a documentary on his book. And it's worth a watch.
Shape of My Life.
Best Shape of My Life, yeah. It's like six episodes on YouTube.
Right.
He's got a book coming out. It's taken 2.5 years to write this book. And part of it, he reads some of the chapters to his kids. About what he went through and why he is like he is today. It's from his father and his childhood.
Seems
but
like
great actor.
Yeah, he does. Best holiday destination.
Best holiday destination. Look, for me, destinations. It's based on the memories that I have over there. Not so much about the place or the fancy of it. So a place which is very close to my heart is a place in India, very very far northeast, called as Sikkim. It's very rugged out there in the open, quite cold. It's got a mixture of like a cold desert and as well as snow.
Yeah.
So we had a family holiday with 3 families and kids, and then it would take us forever to exit the airplane and then board an airplane with those many people in there with the kids and grandparents. So I think I have some very good memories of that place, and hence that's my favorite holiday destination.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And what did you want to be when you were younger?
I think I fancied becoming a bus driver.
Really?
Yeah, I was absolutely clear that
this is where my life is going.
Or a truck driver, one of the two. Yeah, the bus. I think I preferred the bus driver over the truck driver.
Why?
But definitely, I always loved big vehicles.
Really?
I still don't have a car. I like Jeeps or a 4-wheel drive. So I probably still some remains of that wish.
And you've gone the opposite end now on a motorbike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still road related though. Still road related. And last one, if you could describe your management style in one word, what would it be?
Management style in one word would be empathetic.
Nice.
That's one we hear a lot as well. Yeah, it seems to be a recurring theme.
We do a leadership circle profile at SAP.
Mm-hmm.
And there, the first step towards that is your awareness towards your management style and your strengths. And I could see it's a fantastic program. I think everyone should attend it at least twice. I did that twice. That tells you that what are your creative and reactive tendencies. I could see me being highly dialed up on my relating tendencies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where that's what my strength is, and I draw down upon that.
I would actually like to do that because that's part of our leadership training that we do now at Precision. It's on creative and reactive thinking, and it took me the longest time to work out that difference, how it fed into your decision making, how it not even like your decision making, but your thought patterns and how you approach situations, discussions. That totally opened my eyes to it's one of those things where it's happening in your brain, but you don't recognize it.
Yes.
So actually, pulling those threads was super interesting.
And like I said, I did it twice because and each time the training is about 6 months.
Oh wow, really?
So I told Alex that, look, I think I've not really got the full value of it when I attended the first time, because pretty much at the end of it I realized that what the hell this whole thing is, and it's awesome. So I did that again, and then I could really crystallize and had some tangible takeaways from that training. So
really?
It's not a complex one, but you need to. It takes time to absorb and implement what you get out of that.
That's a pretty good insight, actually. Just
doing it
twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
First time you're probably like, okay, and taking it in. Next time you know what to expect, and then
you can start applying. You can start recognizing the patterns, stuff like that. Yeah. That's a really good one.
And as I was talking about SAP's leadership, they were happy for me to take it again, because I just said that these are the reasons that I want to do it again, and that's where I would realize the full value of it. So,
is that part of your philosophy, your project management philosophy then, DJ? Kind of, because you've said there about doing it again, and not to say that you do it wrong the first time, but almost like perfecting it and getting the most out of it. Does that kind of lead into your project management philosophy, or no?
I think it's quite the opposite, Jay, and I think you have a fantastic segue to this question, I must say. My project management philosophy is, on the contrary, you keep doing things little by little.
Mm-hmm.
Do an incremental perfection. So you should keep chipping away. I think that's the thing. Make small progress, and then that gets into the compounding effect, and soon you would realize that you're delivering thumping value over a period of time. So, and that's why I'm a staunch believer in agile practices, and the fact that we can 100% deliver agile using SAP software against some of the industry believes that SAP is too big, too complex, can't do really agile with it. But we have been doing that for a premium bank over here for the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely possible. It's all about the management will and that whole leadership decision. Should they want to have an incremental value, a frequent value deployed to market in a short period of time, and then over a period of time, the compounding effect kicks in, and then you are delivering big chunks of value. So I think that is what my management philosophy is about.
Sure. And how do you, so that's a great management philosophy. I love the kind of the small wins and
the marathon, not the sprint.
Yeah. And you get buy-in from the customer by doing that as well. But
Yep.
how do you relay that to your team, and what are the kind of top 3 imperatives that you do look for within your team?
For the teams, 3 things that I really look for. First thing is absolutely the trust. People should have that trust for each other in my team.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is the core capability that you bring to the table, right? You got to be great at it. And the third thing is you should know how to communicate well, because if you are good, if you're still not able to communicate, that sort of defeats the purpose. So those are the 3 things: trust, capability, and communication.
Sure. Okay. Well, we're going to jump back a couple of stages, and we never learnt about your story, DJ, and how you got into SAP. But yeah, if you could share that with us, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, look, and I've heard some of your podcast. Like most of the people, my entry to SAP was purely by accident. My first job was. My first job was in the logistics industry, and my love for motorbike. The reason why I took my first job, which was very manually laborious and intensive, was because it involved about 150 kilometers of motorbike ride every day.
Really? Wow.
And I was like, this is just made for me. It doesn't have to be any other job description. That was enough. They paid for my fuel. Just bring your bike. And then, of course, there were a lot of other stuff to be done. But the bike aspect was the most thing that appealed to me. And I wanted to go and grow in that field, which was on logistics, international trade, involved a lot of traveling. And then my sister, and I must thank for her for this, for sure. And by the way, she's a managing director in Accenture.
Oh, there you go.
So she's my eldest sister, right? So you know how eldest sisters are. So she said, "Hey, I think you should stop that job of yours and start looking at IT." And I said, "No, there's no freaking way. I know nothing about IT. Can't do that." And then I cried. I cried when she asked me to move from IT from that logistic industry to IT, and I said, "No, I can't do that." So no, but in the hindsight, I am really thankful she made that decision for me at that stage. I was really young, and then it was she asked me to join a SAP training academy in India. I took some loan from my brother-in-law. Now that his wife asked me to do SAP, you might as well pay for mine. But it was a loan, so I paid it back. And then I went through that training program, got my SAP skills, started as an ABAP programmer. So pretty much 98, I started my SAP career as a programmer, and then there's no looking back since then. So SAP has been awesome, the domain as such, and then because of that, I could travel different places, I could do different things. So it's been great so far.
And over 20 years in the industry, what keeps you in the SAP domain?
I think I would say, to start with, the brand value of the product, the sheer brand value, it's such strong. SAP is about discipline, about being robust. You can actually accept a Facebook being offline. You can accept some of the Microsoft things going offline, but you wouldn't hear about SAP going offline. So that's where the robust engineering and in the power of SAP resides, and that's what I like being associated with. And the other aspect is it's just not a technology; it's an enterprise application. So the way that it's beautifully aligned to the business processes, and then there's so much to learn, right? I mean, it's such a vast software you can only master to an extent. There's always a lot of things to learn, which keeps you challenged. Those would be my few things that keeps me going at for SAP.
Excellent. All right. And as a leader, how has your methodology and leadership style changed, DJ, over those 20 years?
Yeah, I'll probably go back to my agile conversation in a bit, but to start with, I was very fascinated by the typical waterfall methods and entry criteria, exit criteria, tons of documentation. And I think there's a lot of value into all that. It gives you a certain discipline and rigor. But then I must also say that many of the waterfall methodologies have a fair bit of fat, and the biggest thing is they take forever to deliver. Right? It's which is in today's digital world, you can't just afford it. So when I got introduced to sort of agile and DevOps, that would be about 2006. So, and that is where I was really fascinated by this whole incremental value to the business. Right, you work with the business intimately. Technology teams work with businesses intimately. They know the exact requirements. They do frequent drops to production. They learn very quickly through that from the customer feedback, and they make changes to the following deployment, and incrementally they are delivering great value. So that's awesome. So that is one aspect, and the other thing is obviously DevOps, wherein coming from a technology background, that becomes really important for engineering, because when you mix your development and operations, and when you run what you build, right? So that's the key thing over here, along with an end-to-end automation. So I think that I said quite many things, but bottom line, I like the whole concept of the business intimacy, delivering quick value to the business, along with an end-to-end automation via DevOps across the technology stack and the technology teams. And then management of these kind of new models, they've been there for a couple of years now, is where we all are heading to. So eventually everyone would have to embrace this kind of things and change their management styles. That's what I believe.
Sure. So you mentioned you was introduced to Agile like 5 years ago.
Yep.
And then you mentioned your project management philosophy was incremental. When it was before that 5 years, when it was kind of waterfall, how did you embark your project management philosophy of increment when it was a waterfall type environment?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I think that's a mindset change. Those are the difficult ones, right? You can learn a new skill, you can acquire new knowledge, but to make a dent onto your mindset, it takes a while. So I think I was lucky to find some of the mentors in the industry. The clients that I was working with, they were willing to experiment, and that's a mindset, right? So I could associate myself with the people who had that mindset, and then over a period of time, learned from them. So it's a journey. You don't get it day one. You don't get it in 3 months. It takes time to truly deliver what Agile says. I think that's a big one. And it's the same thing for organizations. The Agile for many organizations is, blokes turning up in shots with the post-it notes and say we are doing Agile. No, it's not. It's about that mindset wherein you are so aligned to business, you work with business intimately, and then you keep deploying value to production very, very frequently, just so that maximize that benefit. So it's a different mindset. Yeah.
And DJ, we've spoken a lot about, obviously, that marriage of Agile and DevOps, and I imagine that that's going to start to influence a little bit of what your answer will be for this question.
Yeah.
But if you could define what a successful SAP program looks like, because I think a lot of people bring their opinions, they bring their learnings and their challenges. What does that mean to you? What does a successful SAP program look like to you? And how has this view evolved or changed over time?
Yeah, I think a successful SAP program is, to me, is where we keep the solution, i.e. the software, clean. So we do it simple and standard, right? You don't paste stickers on a Ferrari. So don't customize the SAP solution. And if it's already have a lot of features. So you explore that before you start operating it. So simple and standard, something which delivers frequent value to market. I think that's where I would always be telling, because that's something which I feel quite passionate about. And the third is a program which incrementally, or rather, it's a paradox, incrementally decreases the technical debt. That means, as a program, you continuously improve the technology efficiencies, and not by the end of that program create a big technical debt for the operations team to fight through for the next couple of years, just because we delivered a fantastic 5 years program, and then the operations team is struggling with monitoring, they're struggling with some of the infrastructure issues, some of the code which is not efficient. So I think a successful program should have pretty much zero technical debt, ideal scenario. But those are the three characteristics that I would classify for a successful program. And how it has evolved, clearly it has evolved. The second and the third position has evolved from my waterfall experience to the agile experience. And the fact that you can definitely do that in SAP is also a great testimony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just needs, as I said earlier, it just needs that drive from the clients to absolutely achieve that, and the software as such has got all the capabilities to do it.
It's funny because I think Tina Barker from Accenture had a very similar definition of success. It was, don't touch what doesn't need to be touched.
Yeah.
And then if at the end you say, I've successfully implemented, but the business isn't even using your implementation, or doesn't even know where to begin. Yes, you may be on time. Yes, you may be on budget, but what is the benefit? Where is this ROI if a client's going to say, well, fantastic, thank you for doing that on time, but what exactly have you given us?
Absolutely.
And I think that can happen quite a bit. You hear those stories wherein, successfully on time, successfully on budget, this is a great SAP program. And you call in the client a month later and they're like, oh, we've not really turned it all on. We're still doing some things in the background here. It's okay though, we're fine.
Still do manual processes.
Yeah, we've still got some Excel spreadsheets, but don't worry about that. Like, it'll be fine.
And that's right. If you are delivering, say, every 2 weeks, which is what we do in my recent project, every 2 weeks we go to production, and we deliver something to the market. That's how you quickly learn from it, how the customers are responding to it, and then adapt. In the next sprint, you've adapted. You're doing that slightly better. You learn, fail fast, right? Next sprint, even better. And then after some time, that's where the compounding effect kicks in, and then you're talking.
Yeah,
right?
then you're really moving.
Yeah, like a DJ.
Yeah. And what would you describe as your biggest failure? And it's not a failure in the sense of like, wow, I really dropped the ball there, but almost you could say, your biggest learning from something where it didn't quite go right.
Yeah. And you're right. I think even I don't believe in the word failure, because a true failure is when you actually stop trying. So either you win or you learn, right? So, and quitters are the ones who fail in my dictionary. So if you don't quit, you're a winner. One of the experience wherein it didn't go the way that I intended to was one of the small projects, and it was no freaking way possible for me to deliver on that budget, that schedule, that solution, and with those many people that I had. And I think I didn't call it out early enough, and I just took it on myself to face the challenge and then deliver it, right? And it ended up breaking me in various ways. So. That's something which haunts me sometimes. Didn't go really well, but that's what I learned from it is, it's okay. Just say no when things are challenging, and explain the reasons why it is so. Never. I don't think I would ever take that kind of a decision, especially for me or for my team. So timely raising the flag is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. That's a really good insight.
So DJ, you've obviously named quite a few people that you've worked with and been a big influence on your career. If you had to pick one person, who's been the biggest influence on your career and then why and what did they teach you?
Was it your older sister?
She would, if she's listening, she wish she would. No, I think I'm gonna say my grandmom. So she's not there anymore. She passed away a few years back. But I think even at a very old age, 92 or so, she was an avid reader. Right? She had very, very healthy habits. She was an early riser. I'm sort of a night owl.
DJ.
She had very good reading habits, which I've just started. And I think as a person, she just saw the positive side of anyone. I mean, bring her the worst guy, the meanest guy, the rudest guy in the world, and she would still be able to tell a few things which that guy is good at. And I think I struggle with that these days. I think there's so much of those judgments and
that
various
negativity.
ways. So I think in many ways I try to implement that, but it's hard to be her. So my grandmom for sure, she has influenced me, and also to an extent my mom. She taught me, no one is coming, so fight your own battle.
Nice,
good lesson.
And DJ, what would you tell your 21-year-old self if you had to give one piece of advice?
One, I would actually give two. The very first one would be always check why you're doing what you're doing. I think the more we question our why, the greater job satisfaction you have, and you would do really well. So a lot of times as engineers, sometimes we just tend to get the things done because it is, it's a complex code and it's gonna use less memory and it's 10x processing speed. But why? Get the business value. So challenge that why a little bit. I didn't do that when I was 24 and 21. Never. I probably never did that. And I think that's really the important thing. And the second thing would be, take some time to smell the roses. Don't work too hard. Life is all about not all about being absorbed with the code. There are a lot of other things to do. So spend some time over there.
A lot of high achievers struggle with that second point. They're always striving for the next thing, for the next thing. And if you ask anyone that's kind of reached the summit, if they're asking one thing that they wish they'd done is enjoy it more all the way through.
Enjoy that rise.
Yeah.
So that's important. I think, and I personally, I think now I'm just sort of revealing my age, but nowadays I see this a lot more with the generations, with the younger generation, the new engineers that I see at SAP. They balance the work life much better than what I used to when I was at their age. So which is a good thing. They take out time for taking care of their dog, their pets, watering their garden, going to the party in the evening. It's good, right? Life is not all about work. So which is good, and I hope that this helps people in some way.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And lastly, Dean, thank you for coming on today, by the way. Some
Always.
fantastic
Pleasure.
insights. And like I said, good to put a face to a name finally after all these years.
Yes.
I'd love to know who you would like to hear on this podcast.
Oh, yes. And I must definitely recommend Dave McKenzie. Dave and I work very closely at SAP. Dave is a services partner, financial services industry at SAP. He looks after quite a big clients on the FSI industry in Australia, and he comes from a rich delivery as well as largely a sales background. So while I could talk a lot about the delivery aspects, hearing from him on some of the sales or growth aspects would be really good for the SAP community. So hope he makes it.
Excellent.
We'll try. I've said so many times, but I would love to be a fly on the wall on some of those sales.
I told Dave. I did tell him that I'm gonna mention your name, and he says, all right, do what you want. But yeah, I think he's first of all, he's a fantastic orator. I mean, just too good. I only wish I could talk as nicely as him. And he's got a wealth of knowledge. So that combination is killer, right? So it'll be good if you get him.
We'll try to get him on.
There you go.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, DJ, well, brilliant. Sarah, thank you for inviting DJ on.
Thank
to the
you for
podcast.
coming on, DJ, after
Awesome.
all those years.
After
we
all
got
those
there.
No, thank you guys. It's really a pleasure. Good initiative, and I think that differentiates Precision from the rest of the pack.
Thank
Excellent.
you.
Thanks, DJ.
Awesome.
Cheers, man.
Thanks, DJ.